Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. We're taking a look at the Del Mar Pacific Classic Day card, including their Pick 6, which starts in the 6th race for this Saturday, August the 20th. By the way, I had to pick 4 at Arlington last week, so it wasn't a huge payoff, but cashing for 3 figures is always good. So we'll try to get you another Pick 4, Pick 6, something this week, or a few exactas along the way. Jim, will start with a grade 1, one of their 2 grade 1s. It's the Del Mar Oaks for 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and an 1/8 on the turf. You've got an East Coast shipper in Harmonize for Bill Mott, locals, and Tin Type Gal also shipping from the East for Graham Motion. Got the locals. So who did you land on?
Yeah, this is a tough one to start to Pick 6. We're going to wind up at the end of the Pick 6 talking about a limited bankroll, and I've got one ticket that you need an unlimited bankroll for. I'm going to go deep in this race. I really had a hard time separating the horses shipping in from the East Coast against the horses that have been running at Del Mar. You usually favor the ones that have been running at Del Mar. So if I do that, my top pick is Mocat. Coming out of the San Clemente, won by 3 3/4, just won easily over a couple of these, including Stays in Vegas, who was one of the favorites in that race. So Mocat is my top choice, but she jumped up so much. She ran 90 by her after she'd been off since the Oaks. She didn't run very well in the Oaks, but came back great. And if she takes a step up, I think she may be a good bet in this race starting the Pick 6. But there's some other horses in here that I think you can make a case for. Barley Sugar, the 5, comes off 1 race at Del Mar in the Sandy Blue. Is a nice prep race for this and won easily coming off the races in Great Britain. I think Harmonize, you've got to take her, the back class coming out of the Belmont Oaks. Couldn't catch up with Catch a Glimpse and has run behind her 3 times now, but there's no Catch a Glimpse in this field. Tin Type Gal has 2 grade 3 victories and picks up Telemo. And I've got a live long shot in here, too. I like a horse called Minds in Magic. Opened her career on the turf at Kentucky Downs, which is always a tough place to run, but since then has run 4 great races in a row, including the Indiana Oaks. And, coming from Indiana and Churchill, from dirt to turf, I think she's going to get really overlooked here. She may be 30-1, but I think she's got a shot to get in the money. So my picks for the race, if I'm going a Pick 6, would be the 3, and then as deep as you can go. If we're going to get later on, and you're going to see that we can't afford the ticket that I'm going to give out. But Mocat would be my top pick here, the 3 horse. But I'd also have to take a look at Barley Sugar and Harmonize if I was getting any kind of size ticket.
Yeah, I couldn't narrow this one down very much either. I ended up going with Harmonize for the win because of, as you mentioned, the competition that she's been facing. I think this is softer competition. Now, she's going all the way across country, different surface. She's playing a road game against some decent-looking home team talent. But, boy, if she runs to the company lines, she ought to be able to be a little better than these. I like that Junior Alvarado, gives up a day at Saratoga to ship out and ride this too. So that gives me a little more confidence to pick her. And she's run well on a variety of surfaces, so that leads me to be optimistic that she can handle this one. So I'm going to take Harmonize for the win pick, but like Lady Velour, Mocat probably would be my second choice. Stays in Vegas, the 10, and also a little bit on the Tin Type Gal, the 11. 7th race is the next leg of the Pick 6, and when we take a look at the stakes, and then we'll come back to our Pick 6 ticket. So the next stake is the 8th race, which is the Grade 2 Del Mar Handicap, 1 3/8 on the turf for 3-year-olds and up. And I like Metaboss a good bit in here. Big improvement in the first start for the Phil D'Amato barn. They keep Bejarano on. And this is a 4-year-old, so this horse still may have some upside left, and it may just be that D'Amato unlocked something that got into some more ability here than others had found before. And if Metaboss runs back to that last number, going to be awfully tough to beat. And I'm going to bet that it's not a fluke, that it's legit and the improvement for D'Amato. For the next pick, Quick Casablancas, the next one I liked a little bit. And then the others, Wanstead Garden, the 3, 7, Flamboyant, 8, Ashley Loves Sugar. So I would key Metaboss in exactas with all of those. But Metaboss, I like a good bit for the win pick in here. How about you?
Well, it's interesting that two people could take a look at the same PPs and come up with two different ideas, because I did not like Metaboss. I thought that he's a perfect candidate for a bounce going from an 85 to 100. I know he changed barns, and he came from Pimlico out west, so he liked the Del Mar surface, but I'm a little afraid two things, the big 15-point buyer jump and the fact that he has to come from way out of it. There's a lot of horses in this race that have to come out of it, so I felt there was a lack of speed in here. So I couldn't make up my mind between Flamboyant, the 7, and Ashley Loves Sugar, the 8, and they would be the two that I would definitely use in the pick 6, along with possibly Quick Casablanca. I think he's just a class horse that fits well here, and run five straight graded stakes, and I think he fits well. But I really picked Flamboyant simply because that Eddie Reed was so good. Ashley Loves Sugar, and he finished right together, and I'm thinking he may have a little more upside because it was his first trip back from Dubai, and ran a 103 buyer, but he can back that up. He's run a 96 to a 105, so if he jumps up a little bit, I think he's got a real shot here. So Flamboyant and Ashley Loves Sugar are my 1-2 pick here, and I also throw Quick Casablanca in the pick 6.
The 9th race is the Grade 1 TVG Pacific Classic at 1.25 miles for 3-year-olds and up. You got California Chrome and Dortmund in a rematch, and then you throw in the defending champion Beholder trying to beat the boys in this race for the second year in a row. And I don't know that anybody's going to go too much deeper than that, but how do you see the Pacific Classic shaking out?
I just can't handicap cheap races. It's terrible horses. California Chrome's won $12.6 million, and I'm going to pick against him. I can't believe that, but I'm going to. I really want Beholder to win this race. I think that Mandela caught a little bit of grief for the race she ran last time when Stellar Wind beat her, but it's a 5-horse field. I don't think she was very comfortable in the lead, and Stellar Wind just ran the race of her life, and she beat her. Everybody gets beat. I think she's good enough to beat these horses. The fact that California Chrome drew the inside hole does not help him at all. They're going to have to send him out of there, and Dortmund ran his eyeballs out last time out and almost beat California Chrome. So I think Dortmund, the 8, has a real shot here. Obviously, those 3 horses are the 3 favorites, deservedly so. I just keep going back to the Pacific Classic from last year. Beholder had not run a big number up until the Pacific Classic, but she hadn't had to. If you look at her buyers before the Pacific Classic last year, she runs 99, 98, 98, 97. She beats a bunch of suspect fillies and mares, and then she runs the Pacific Classic against some tough horses, and she blows them away by 8 1/4 and gets a 114. She's not going to blow these horses away. It's going to be a race to the wire, and I think it's going to come down to Dortmund and Beholder, and I want to bet with my heart. I really like the mare. I love horses. I love fillies and mares that run against colts, and I think she's obviously the real deal. I think she's got a real shot to beat them. It wouldn't shock me if Dortmund or California Chrome won. It would shock me if anybody else won. I'm going to take Beholder by a nose over Dortmund with California Chrome a fading third. So that's where I'm going on the Pacific Classic.
I ended up going to Dortmund, so I'm trying to beat California Chrome too. The main reason for me is I've never thought this horse liked to be inside of other horses, and I think you go back to look at his Belmont and you can see that. And I think he's been fortunate to have drawn outside a lot of times and gotten the outside trip that I think he likes. And I don't think he likes being inside of horses. So they either send him and try to avoid that, which they should have done in the Belmont, or if he doesn't, then he's going to be inside of horses. And I think he could really be in some jeopardy then. So maybe they send him and he's just that good. But I'm going to take Dortmund because of the post draw for California Chrome, and then Dortmund's second off the layoff for Baffert and really working well off that. So certainly every reason to think he could move forward off that race. And he was, as you said, just barely beaten by California Chrome last time. And I think Dortmund maybe gets to stalk this time instead of having to set the pace like last time. And he gets the more favorable race scenario. And then I'd have to use Beholder as well in an exacta box with Dortmund, but I'm going to make Dortmund my key horse, 8-1, 8-7 exacta boxes, and Dortmund for the win pick. Now, as far as the pick 6, it would be to take everybody I'd like to take. The ticket would be tremendously expensive. So I will tell folks what I'm thinking, and then you can go accordingly. Here's the way. If I was going to bet a pick six ticket, here's how I would do it. I'd take the 5 I mentioned in the first leg. I'd take Metaboss and Quick Casablanca in the next leg. Or excuse me, let me take that back. Sixth race starts the pick six. I would go with the 5 horses I mentioned in the Del Mar Oaks. In the next race, I'd take Twirling Candy and Mo Candy. It's a maiden race, and I thought those two kind of stood out. Miner's Light was the only other one I thought about in there, but I'm going to go with those two, 4 and the 2. Then in the 8th race, the Del Mar Handicap, I would take all the horses I mentioned, 8. I like Metaboss, but not enough to single or anything. Then in the Pacific Classic, I'm going to single Dortmund for the purposes of this ticket. Wouldn't be real comfortable doing that, but to make it affordable, I would do that because I want to take 2, 3, 4, and 9 in the 10th race, and then I'm going to do another single Gunslinger who showed a big improvement last time, and I'm going to single him off that improvement in the last leg. If your budget would allow it and you like those numbers I gave out, I'd certainly try to add California Chrome and or Beholder in the Pacific Classic because I wouldn't feel too comfortable singling Dortmund, but to make the ticket affordable, that's how I'll structure it. How about you?
Similar. I'm going to go heavy early and light late. So the 6th race is very tough, and if you're going to play a pick 6 ticket, you want to be alive after the first leg. So I've always thought you ought to either single it and go out in a blaze of glory or go deep and stay alive. So I'm going to try to go deep here. I'm going to use 5 horses, the 3, 4, 5, 7, 11, which is Mocat was my top choice, but I think mine's in Magic. If that horse does take to the turf and wins at 30-1, it's a great start to your pick 6. So 3, 4, 5, 7, 11, I would use Barley Sugar, Harmonize, and 10 Type Gal, the ones we talked about. In the 7th race, I am going to, it's wide open, and I'm going to take my second theory of the year. I'm going to single Ketos, the 10, just coming off of a couple of nice races, made special weights, and I just think he's kind of the top choice by default. You've got some unknowns in here. He's got the best recent form. You got some other horses coming off long layoffs. So I am going to take a shot at getting knocked out in the second leg by singling the 10. That leaves me in the 8th race, the Del Mar Handicap. I would use Quick Casablanca, the 2, then the 7 and 8, Flamboyant, and Ashley's Love Sugar. In the Pacific Classic, I'm not going to single my horse. I'm going to go with California Chrome, the 1, obviously 7, the Beholder, and Dortmund, the 8. So I'll go 3 deep there. In the 10th race, I am going to go 7-9, which is Dudetta and Flamingo Lane for Peter Miller. And then I'm going to single the last race, but I'm not singling your horse. I'm singling Carlsbad Mountain, the for Peter Miller, 2 for 3 at Del Mar, 4 for 8 at the distance. And Peter Miller is 32% first time off the clean, so I'm singling Carlsbad Mountain in the race. Hopefully I'm alive to there. So obviously feel free to add as many as you want, but you got to have a couple of singles or you can't afford the pick 6 ticket.
Yeah, that's kind of the dilemma on this particular day at Del Mar, because in that last race I had 2, 3, 6, 8, 10 all written down, but I ended up singling 10 to make it an affordable ticket. So tough challenge, but you get rewarded if you can pass the test. Got a couple of grade 1s at Saratoga on Saturday, and you're telling me as we tape this, they're waiting on final approval to get a pick 4 that's linking the 2 grade 1s at Saratoga with 2 of the Del Mar races, right?
Yeah, the Del Mar Handicap and Pacific Classic, along with the 4-Star Days and the Alabama at Saratoga, which is probably a free square for Songbird. I would think. I think she'll get a 1.25 miles up there. She was so good last time out. I can't see anybody beating her.
No, I'm with you on that. So make sure you look for that. It'll be a special wager on Saturday to link up those 2 tracks. We'll be back next week for Travers Day at Saratoga for the In the Money podcast from KeenelandSelect.com.